All right, it's Wednesday. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. You are watching the 9 at Night. I'm Stephania Jimenez. At the top, the Bexar County District Attorney's Office is releasing the dash cam video showing the moments that a San Antonio police officer shot and killed a 13-year-old boy. Before we go to that, it's hard to watch. Happened back on June 3rd when SAPD officers were responding to reports of shots being fired in a southwest neighborhood. Investigators say the officers came upon a red car, tried to stop it. The video is from Officer Steven Ramos's patrol unit. It captures the driver, who's been identified as AJ Hernandez, trying to escape police. You can see Hernandez drive forward and eventually ram into another police vehicle. That's when Officer Ramos opens fire, striking Hernandez. He then approaches the car with his gun drawn. The video then shows the driver's side door open and Hernandez gets out of the car, and with his weapon still drawn, Ramos is seen patting Hernandez down. While that's happening, two others inside the vehicle are seen with their hands out of the window, and then in another dash cam video, one of the suspects is heard calling AJ's name and crying. Detectives say that Hernandez was driving a stolen car. He died at the hospital. Last week, a Bexar County grand jury returned a no bill of the indictment against Ramos. A 27-year-old man is facing multiple charges, including murder in connection to the death of a man who was killed in the parking lot of a local gym. San Antonio police say that Dontre Laron Nestle was wanted for the 2021 murder of 24-year-old Orlando Stewart. According to investigators, Nestle, Stewart and others were playing basketball at the LA Fitness on the 7100 block of Blanco Road. When Stewart and the others were leaving the gym, detectives say that Nestle opened fire on the group. Stewart was then shot in the head. He died at the scene. Several people identified Nestle as the shooter, but police weren't able to find him until recently. In a separate incident last month, police say that Nestle allegedly opened fire during a basketball game at a court on Copper Hill Drive. One person was hit in the arm. Police arrested Nestle yesterday. Now he's charged with murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and evading arrest. Another reset for the man accused of starting a deadly fire that killed San Antonio firefighter Scott Dean back in 2017. The trial for Eamon Johnson was scheduled to start next week, but because he was recently assigned a new attorney, that pushed back the trial date. Johnson allegedly started a fire at his gym at the Ingram Square Shopping Center back on May 18th of 2017. A new trial would be either September 18th or October 10th. But here's the thing. The prosecutors in that case say they now have to see if one of those dates work on their end.
We're going to run those two dates by all of the victims' witnesses in the fire department to see if there are conflicts with either one, and then approach the court again. Obviously, we would like to try this case as soon as possible for the victims.
Johnson is facing 5 different charges, including murder and arson causing bodily injury. A hearing is scheduled next month to finalize the date and also to begin those pretrial motions. Now, switching gears, have you enjoyed this warm weather? Adam Cass is going to show you what's in store for your Friday Eve forecast.
Downright spring-like earlier today, high of 89 in San Antonio. That's 20 degrees above average. Not quite as warm tomorrow. 58 in the morning, then by the afternoon we make it up to 80 degrees with a lot of sunshine after a little bit of morning fog to start the day. Friday, considerable cloud cover, keeping the temperatures closer to 70 for afternoon highs. Some patchy drizzle developing, and then morning dampness and drizzle both Saturday and Sunday, but still in the upper 70s by the afternoons.
Today, the faithful are offering penance and repentance as the Lenten season begins. Today is the first day of Lent, the 40 days leading up to Easter Sunday. Many were making their way to churches to receive the ashes on their foreheads, including here, right there, at San Fernando Cathedral. The ashes are made from the palm branches that were blessed from last year's Palm Sunday. During this season, the faithful acknowledge the sacrifice of Christ by giving something up. And by the way, Catholics are not the only ones who observe Lent. Lutherans, Methodists, Presbyterians, Anglicans, and those in the Eastern Orthodox Church also take part in Lent. Obesity could be a risk factor in developing Alzheimer's disease. That's according to researchers at UT Health San Antonio. They studied more than 5,000 people, and researchers looked at 21 genes known to be associated with Alzheimer's. And they found that those genes were more vulnerable when the person was overweight. One UT Health researcher says that nearly 85% of adults are projected to be overweight by 2030, so it is important to take steps towards body and brain health.
Prevalence of Alzheimer's disease is projected to explode in the next couple of decades, and obesity also has been steadily increasing worldwide. And if obesity is a risk factor for Alzheimer's disease, imagine what is going to happen in a couple of decades if we don't do anything about it now.
So a lot of studies are being done there at UT Health. If you want to participate in any observation study, which would mean you wouldn't get medication or any interventions, you can go to our website, KSAT.com, for those details. News of former President Jimmy Carter receiving hospice care has a lot of people reflecting on the many contributions that he's made throughout his lifetime. And some of those contributions directly impacted our community. Our Jonathan Cotto shows us how.
You know, it's hard to compare someone to Jimmy Carter, isn't it? I mean, he's just an amazing humanitarian.
Today, Habitat for Humanity San Antonio reflecting on the impact President Carter and his wife Rosalind have had right here in our community.
So Jimmy Carter and his wife Rosalind have been involved with Habitat since 1984.
Habitat San Antonio was the first Habitat affiliate in the country.
We built the very first house in the world right here in San Antonio.
On Saturday, the Carter Center announcing former President Jimmy Carter opting for hospice care at his Georgia home.
In this time in his life, he continues to get to be at his home, and I can only guess that he wanted that for thousands of other people too, that stability that home ownership brings. And he truly has provided home ownership to thousands of people across the country and world.
The Carters described as amazing supporters willing to get their hands dirty in building Habitat homes.
They were our most famous volunteers and really put Habitat on the map in San Antonio and around the country and the world.
To continue his legacy and honor his work, Weiss says they will continue to build.
So our plan is to build 60 homes in our local area this year in partnership with families in need. I know President Carter loved partnership, and that's truly what Habitat's about.
Reporting Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Now, before we go, we want you to check this out. Men participating in the world's biggest trial of a 4-day work week. They spent much more time with their children. That is according to results published Tuesday by the nonprofit organization 4-Day Work Week Global. Starting last June, about 2,900 workers across 60 companies in the UK participated in that trial. Managers and employees say that it gave them more time to run errands, take up hobbies, and also recharge. How do you feel about a 4-day work week? I'm all about it. Well, we are out of time here. The 9 at Night returns tomorrow. Have a beautiful night. We'll see you then.